Today we're going to be talking about one of these, and this is a variable ND, but more specifically it's a variable ND slash polarizer, so it can do both. And if you don't know what either of those are, then let me break it down for you. So this is variable ND slash polarizer by K&F Concept, which is a company that makes a lot of different filters. And you can see on the build we have two different rings. So we have this ring that does the polarizer, and we also have this ring that does the ND filter. So they're both built into one thing. I really like to use this for car photography especially. I think if you're photographing cars or videoing cars, then you definitely need one of these. So when you're photographing cars, you might notice a ton of reflections, especially on a glossy car, and that's where this filter comes in handy. So the first part of this filter is the fact that it's a polarizer, and what a polarizer does, cuts out all the reflections, which just makes the overall car look better, and it causes a lot less distractions, because when you're trying to photograph a car, sometimes the reflections can be really distracting. The other part of this filter is that it's an ND filter, and I really like NDs, and I think they're really important, especially once you move up into photography and filmmaking. So the main point of an ND is so that you can keep your aperture low. So if you're shooting outside or it's just like a brightly lit area, then you're gonna have to either crank up your aperture because you can't really touch your shutter speed if you're filming. Now if you're taking pictures, it doesn't really matter that much, but if you're doing video, then I think this is a necessity and you can't really go on without it. And so I really like to use this because then I don't have to crank my aperture up, and then I can keep on having a low aperture, and things like f2.8 just looks a lot cleaner and crisper than f14. So you can see on the actual filter, it's just this little middle metal nub that you move over to the side, and it's completely detached from the polarizer. But you can see as you move it, it gets darker. But this does mean you do have a minimum, and I think the minimum on this one is an ND of 2, so it's 2 stops darker than what you would have without the filter. So if you want to use this in like nighttime scenarios, or it's just a dark lit area, then I would make sure to have just a polarizer by itself as well, so you don't have to have both the polarizer and the ND together. If you're looking at getting both of these filters and you kind of want one that does both, I really like this one just because it's all in one and you don't have to stack filters. The only thing I've noticed with this filter is that at about 24 mil on a full frame sensor, you do get a bit of vignetting in the edges, but most of the time I'm able to crop in or just zoom in, but that's about the only issue I've seen so far. And so when I use it on APS sensor on my FX30, then I've never had any issues. That's just kind of one thing that's bugged me, and that's the only con that I've really had with this filter. But besides that, I think it's really good, and I would definitely look into getting one. Link is going to be in the description if you want to go get one on Amazon. But if you have any other questions, just let me know in the comments. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little short video, and bye-bye.